all you cool cats and space cowboys. It's time for Cosmic Tea with your host, Avalon Starlight.
Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of the Cosmic Tea podcast. If you are joining me here on YouTube, I'm finding it super fascinating to watch like the pictures in the back of the wall and my hair grow longer because I started recording this season before 2023, and here it is, March 2023. We've just had an astrological new year, and so it's been like an evolution to bring this podcast back to life after being asleep for a couple of years. But in this episode, I'm going to share something very near and dear to my heart. It's part of my life's work. It's part of my life study. And that is, as someone who works with empaths, healers, and highly sensitive people, and the vision and mission of my company and my business and my brand is to bring magic back to the world. It's really helping empaths unlock their spiritual gifts, their empath gifts, the parts of themselves that can do, see, hear, know, experience the world differently than everybody else. You know, there's the story, and it's mostly true, that empaths have had traumatic experiences in their childhood, which unlocked a certain aspect of being able to utilize energy to keep themselves safe. That is 100% true. And, you know, as a highly sensitive person, because every empath is a highly sensitive person, scientifically, 30% of the population is highly sensitive, and it is a neurological brain wave that we actually have. And it's like a SERT, S-E-R-T. It's a part of our brain that has a certain structure to it that nobody else's brains have. So we're looking at 30% of the population being highly sensitive. That's only 30%, 70% are not. And then even smaller than that is empaths, who, even if we walk through the fire, it's why I have a phoenix now on my wall as a fire empath and somebody who keeps rising no matter what my childhood past trauma is or any experiences that I've had in my life. I really believe that empaths are here to actually be the leaders that shift the planet back to understanding that we have the capacity to attune to nature, to attune to energy, to be able to receive cosmic intervention and guidance from guides and higher beings, and be the forefront, the champions of this awakening, right? This global change of being able to tune into energy and use our gifts for the higher good. With that being said, I've recognized that not every empath's powers are the same. We all have something slightly different. And as I've been working with empaths for the last 7 years, I recognize that they kind of group together. And it was a couple months ago that I was just kind of like doing my own thing, and Spirit's like, they group into elements. Right. So there's 9 different types of empaths in general. And I'm gonna break them down for you. And they break down into the 4 elemental groups. And I'm going to share what Spirit showed me and why this is so, right? And in the last little episode, you guys have learned that I really listen when Spirit talks to me. So when my guides, when my cosmic team, when my higher self, however you want to define it, that feels good in your system, tells me something about my business, about my service, how I'm here to show up in the world, I listen. It's what I coach my clients to do too, is really tune in to your own center core being of self, and then really expand into allowing Spirit to be your life coach, your business coach, your number one promoter, cheerleader, you know, initiator of all aspects of you, right? And so I was doing my jam, you know, as I always do. And Spirit was like, you know, those 9 types of empaths? I'm like, yeah. And Spirit's like, okay, break them down into these 4. So earth empaths. Okay. We're going to start there, right at the root, right? Feet on the ground. Earth empaths are those that communicate, obviously, with any energies that have to do with earth and earthly beings. And so minus the humans, and you can be more than one grouping here, just PS. Like I'm a dominant fire, secondary water, but you're going to learn that as we go along. An earth empath, there's 3 empaths that fall under Earth Empath. You can be a Geomantic empath. So a Geomantic empath reads the energy of locations. Like, so if you walked into a space, you would know what had happened on the Earth at some point, or you can walk into houses and understand the energy that has happened prior to you being in that house. I've witnessed people hire Geomantic empaths to actually support them in finding the perfect place to live. So they'll have them walk the property or walk the house with them and say, like, what do you feel? What do you sense? What do you pick up? So Geomantics really, really communicate with the energy of the earth and what's happened in spaces and places. You have a plant empath. So plant empaths, they're able to just understand, to communicate, to feel into, to nourish, to be able to support any vegetation. This is your trees, this is your gardens, this is your indoor plants, it's herbs, it's everything that has to do with plants. And you are innately, and man, I wish I was an earth empath when I think about plant empaths, because I have all of these high hopes for plants and I'm working on it. I'm building this relationship, right? Because all of these can be built upon. Not there yet, but it's on my list. I used to kill plants, which is devastating to say as you guys are empaths listening to this, but I just didn't have it in me. And now I'm like more present. I really want to nurture this aspect of all empath gifts, right? But a plant empath is just naturally attuned to be the person you walk into their house and it is just everywhere. The plants are everywhere. They're thriving. Their gardens are thriving. Their hands in the dirt is the happiest place for them to be. Then you have animal empaths, right? And animal empaths, and I have used animal empaths many times in my life. When I can't figure out what's wrong with my pet, you better believe I am contacting an animal empath so that they can be the bridge between how my animal's feeling and what it needs. Also fantastic for animal Reiki, animal chiropractic. Like, the gift is that you can communicate and share vibrational energy with animals, horses, dogs, cats, birds, you name it. You just have an innate communication with them. And so that's earth empath, right? Then we move into air. Air is beautiful because it is an upper energy. Air empaths are your psychic empaths and they are your dream empaths. So if you're an air empath, things like tuning into people that psychically can tune into people who have passed, receive information from higher beings. You can astral travel, you receive divine information in your dreams. You might travel in your dreams, right? So dream empaths, you guys do a lot. Like the intuitive graphic designer who built my website, who has done the cover of my book, she is a dream empath. She's done my logos. She'll go to bed and ask for a vision of what to do with her clients, and it comes to her in her dreams, and then she brings it into form the next day. How freaking cool is that, right? Like, it's just so blows my mind. She's actually coming up this Friday. Ricky Silzer, she's going to be my guest, and we're going to talk about this on this Friday's podcast. But, working with your dreams and being able to utilize your dream to travel somewhere, to bridge the gap and be able to support light workers or star seeds in being able to tune into where they come from, what's their origin story. And then you have your psychic. And I think that air empaths are impeccable leaders as well, because you guys can see the outcomes, what's about to happen. Air empaths are guides to the unseen future. Like, you can tune in psychically and be able to reverse engineer back to where we are, the steps we need to get to where we need to go. So that's an air empath, and that's dream and psychic. Then you move into water empaths. The majority of empaths are going to understand what a water empath is, because the two components, or the two different types of empaths that fall under this category, are emotional empaths and physical empaths. Now, as empaths, we tune into energy. We feel like you walk in a room, basic temperature of the room. If there's a heaviness, if there's a densidiness, if people are angry, we all can attune to that pretty easily. But I'm going to take it one up to an emotional empath, right? Like, an emotional empath, like when I communicate with an emotional empath, they know every feeling that you're having. They can tune into what you felt like at certain aspects of your life. They're connected to the emotional body, not just the temperature in the room emotion, but like actually being able to read your emotions as you're experiencing, as you're navigating them, when you were having them at different points of your life. And so they're just more adept. They just have a deeper capacity to read emotion. Then I say it's my secondary because I do feel emotions. I feel them quite easily. I can walk downstairs and know the mood of everybody in my house, right? And I can take that in. Sometimes I take in my clients' emotions. I wouldn't even say their emotions. I would say their state before tuning in to work with them. But emotional empaths work with those emotions. They guide, they support, they're healers. They move through the body with those emotions with you. And same with physical empaths, right? So they're attuned to what's happening in your physical body. I think of the medical medium. He's pretty popular, right? When he was little, he put his hand on his grandma and was like, "You have cancer." Able to tune into what's going wrong physically in the body, intuitively being able to tell just by talking to somebody, what hormones are out of balance, what kind of physical activity the person needs to eat, what they need to keep in their diet, out of their diet, what medical treatments they need. This is like really powerful combination to use in all sorts of different ways, like working as Reiki practitioners, massage therapists, nutritionists, like intuitively being able to support the body. And why it's a water empath, right, is because it flows through the body. You're helping them create flow through your body, through working through the emotional and physical blocks that they have. The last one is fire. I only cheer because that's me. I even bought this beautiful Phoenix picture behind me to help me remember that I'm a fire empath, just to hold that flame within myself, because it's who I am. It's innately my highest level of service. And I always say, like, for me as a signature empath gift, it just allows me to be able to flow into my service with ease, not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not an earth empath. I can dabble, I can tune into being an earth empath once in a while, like when I'm like concentrated, and I could probably heighten my skills there, but I am fire through and through. And a fire empath has two separate empaths in there, and that is a Hyoka empath and an intuitive empath. So the reason I put intuitive in here, and you can use intuition all the time, and you can be an intuitive plant, anyone, or an intuitive whatever, intuitive dream guide, or I'm just like intuitive coach, intuitive healer. You can use intuitive anywhere. I'm using it as the level of a fire empath. So an intuitive empath is somebody who reads underneath the emotions to things that go deeper, right? So for me, when I'm using my fire empath gifts, I say I read the subconscious mind. I read what is hidden under the rug, behind the shelf, in the closet, tucked away behind all the books. It's what the person is not willing to look at, but knows is there. And this could be childhood trauma. It could be, it's shadow. I work in the shadows with people, the things that are unseen, and I bring light to them. And that's the intuitive empath aspect. The Hyoka empath is got two little fun parts to it. So Hyoka empaths mirror where you are in your spiritual path. So it's when you come to a Hyoka empath, they're going to be able to allow you and support you in seeing exactly where you are, which is really important. And next week, I'm going to talk about being an upper chakra or a lower chakra person, and how, that's important to know. And I'm going to share, like, being a Hyoka empath, knowing where you are and planting your feet in the now is a big deal. So if you're trying to be, do, or have something that you're not, a Hyoka empath is going to ground you back to where you are. And it's going to feel really stable and caring, nurturing, and loving when it happens. And Hyoka empaths also have a history of using humor to kind of diffuse dense situations, heavy situations. So of course, I think I'm funny as fuck. Let's just put that out there. And, it's just part of being fire, bringing light to density, to heaviness, to shadows. And that's what the fire is. It's the light that brings, energy to what is heavy. So those are the four different types of empaths. You have your earth that works with any earthly things other than humans, air, which works psychically, future, and dream, right? So it's a very high energy, up upper echelons of energy. You have your water, which is your emotional and physical and help flow through the body. And then you have your fire, which brings light to the dark, the shadows, the deeper parts of self, the subconscious mind. For me, I read that in the chakras. And you have a Hyoka, which is the mirror to where you are in your spiritual path. So now I'm curious, obviously, as you guys know, I love to know more about you guys. Obviously, I want all the comments. If you've reached to the end of this podcast, tag me in social media. It would be the highlight of my day. If you're like, listen to this podcast, now I know I'm a water empath. Thanks, Avalon Starlight. I would just be giddy. I would probably dance a little dance wherever I was. So if you want to do that, that would be like, I would feel super supported and loved. Just saying. So share either in the comments below or share on social media what empath you are and what you took away from today's episode. As always, I am so grateful. I love tuning in and sharing all of the stuff that just lights me up inside. And if you ever want to know something or me to kind of research it, go to Avalon at avalonstarlight.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you want me to bring on the show, and I will do it. I'll either do it myself or I'll find somebody to interview to have that conversation with. Have a magical day, you guys, and tune in Friday for my conversation with Ricky Silver.